There we go.
I'm Frederick L. Milliken, and I'm here today to moderate a panel on aggressive and problem pets. Today we'll be talking mostly about dogs, and we have on the panel Olga Wharton-Newman, owner and CEO of DFW Pet Sitting, David Miller, a licensed dog trainer, Kira Stabad, a dog trainer in pursuit of a licensing, Sarah Owens, a licensed groomer.
Hello.
And Chrissy Rippey, a pet whisperer. So, good morning, everybody.
Morning.
Good morning. Morning.
Okay, let's start with you, Olga, as CEO of DFW Pet Sitting. What has brought the issue of pet sitting aggressive dogs to your attention?
Well, dogs have always been dogs, and any dog can turn aggressive. And I knew that going into this business 20 years ago. I have always taken precautions myself and trained my staff to be cautious of those situations. But as we're getting bigger and as we are expanding the territories and hiring new people, we need to be better at training people and explaining people how to better take precautions in the pets and just to be careful in what to look out for. One most important thing I would like to emphasize in every single training material of DFW Pet Sitting is that we don't accept pets that pet sitters are not comfortable with. If you as a pet sitter, you go meet with a pet and you feel that the pet is scared of you or is aggressive or growling at you, please decline this client. And this video is going to emphasize of what clients we decline, what clients we accept, what do we do with clients that we're going to decline, because the dangers are real. I mean, you are pet sitting the pets and they're not your pets. You don't always know how they're going to behave. You don't always know what they're going to do. And we as pet sitters, we often go into this mode like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. I love dogs. I love my job. And you go in with an open heart, with open arms. And sometimes it's not the safest way to do things. We've had this situation with a Coppell pet sitter. That was actually the real reason what triggered this video. What happened to the girl is unfathomable, and it's a reality check for all of us. This girl was a professional pet sitter. She was not some kind of amateur. She met with the people. What cues did those dogs give her? And this is what we want to talk about today. What cues could we as pet sitters, when we go and we meet those clients, what are the red flags? What are the cues to watch out for? And most importantly, as a pet sitting company owner, I want to make it very, very loud and clear. Do not accept pets that do not vibe with you or act just strange. Because unless you're a licensed dog trainer, you are putting yourself at risk. And not just only yourself, but also the pet sitters who will come after you if you had an emergency and you needed to step away from pet sitting for a day or two. A backup needs to be able to walk in the house, put a leash on the dog, take care of the cat, and do all the work. So please be mindful of other people who are walking into the house after you, and also, of course, yourself. If you don't protect yourself, we can protect you as a company. This is a very long answer to your question, Fred, but I wanted to be very, very loud and clear about this message. And if I could get any louder and bigger and more in your face about this, I could. And that's why I have 6 people here today to communicate to every single listener of this video how to stay safe and how to make smart decisions as a professional pet sitter.
Well, I think you covered both of the questions I had for you. Let me turn to David, how do you spot a problem dog?
Well, just for the purposes of this discussion, a problem dog is one that has a higher than normal likelihood of harming the sitter or those encountered during walks. When I'm asked, does the dog bite? I say during every meal, but you have nothing to fear if you don't threaten it. All dogs and cats have a fight or flight reflex. If you take away the option to flee by cornering it, rare is the dog that will not bite to protect its life. Its perception of the threat is its reality. What being cornered means to each dog is different. For some, you walking into its empty house without the owner means it is cornered. You might want to walk outside with the owner for 2 minutes during the interview and check the reaction if you unlock the door and come in without the owner. Spotting problem dogs takes 4 steps. Look for red flags in each area, and even if you don't see any and you take the job, never put yourself in a position to be harmed by the canines you sit. Remember the word bebop to recall the steps. First is behavior of the canine. Second is environment. Third is body language of the canine. Fourth is owner. Fifth is presentation of the canine. The first letters of each of those words make the word bebop, which may help you remember when you're in your interviews. Canine behavior. A, if the dog attacks the front door with vicious barks, not just I'm here barks. B, if the canine will not at least come sniff you within 5 minutes while you ignore it and talk with the owner. C, if the owner cannot take treats and or food away from the dog after giving them. You might want to get a demonstration from the owner during the interview. Environment, look for rundown neighborhood and especially the canine home. If the home is neglected, the training of the dog is likely neglected. Be on guard if you see a rundown home. If there's a beware dog sign, don't engage the client unless you get a really believable explanation from the owner, like we have a 5-pound Chihuahua and the sign is just to deter thieves. If the home is too small for a giant dog, you might have issues related to pent-up energy. Body language. Warning signs. Number 1, ears back flat or straight up. 2, the lips curling, which is called the canine smile, or an upturned nose, which indicates the lip curl coming. Number 3, a growl that is not playful. 4, the tail. It usually wags before a bite. Okay, related to the tail, part A is short wags, like staccato, if you know what that means, or a wag just at the tip of the tail. B, if the tail is low, far below the horizontal or tucked. If it is high, far above the horizontal, arched over the back. Number 5, a hard stare, which looks glassy to you. It will look kind of bright and shiny. Okay, that means that the, I'm trying to remember the part of the eye. The pupils are dilated. Okay, because they're taking in more light, which happens when they are reacting to a threat. Or if the dog avoids looking at you entirely, that can indicate such submission that the dog is so scared of you, it won't even look at you. It's normal for a dog to look at parts of its pack, but to not stare them in the eye. Number 6, a squared off, tense, and very quiet stance. So if you know, like in the Western movies, when things are just too quiet. Same thing with the dog and its stance, if it's just too quiet. Number 7, a stiff body. The O in bebop is for owner. Ask about previous aggressive and very submissive behavior. And make sure they're telling you the truth. Ask if there are any spots, like a spot on the couch, or a time, like late at night when the dog's tired, from which the canine really does not like to be moved. Okay, I've encountered more than one dog where you try and move them late at night to get them to go outside, and they get very aggressive, whereas earlier in the day they would not. Presentation is the last P. Does the medium to giant sized dog wear or have a studded or spiked collar or muzzle leash, which the owner may hide from you by calling it an easy leader? This may indicate an aggressive or egocentric owner attitude. What do you do to negotiate the triggers that cause a dog to be aggressive? Number one, ignore the dog. Present your side, not the chest. Your chest is the most powerful part of you to a dog. So you want to turn your side to them. No talking to them, touching them, or eye contact for at least 2 minutes, and not until the canine comes into your 3-foot personal space and sniffs you. Number two, the other trigger, never avoiding triggers, never grasp the canine by the ear or collar or tail or scruff on top of the neck. That can be dangerous. It's aggressive to a dog to touch it on any of those places. Take control of them with a slip lead before attaching a snap lead. Many dogs will behave aggressively if they're free and not on a lead yet, and a slip lead is much safer to put on. When you're asked to handle a dog that you know is a problem going in, how do you prepare for this meeting and what steps might you take to manage the situation? Number one, wear PPE, personal protective equipment, including Kevlar elbow length gloves and a neck protector, like a welder wears, with 2 layers, steel reinforced boots, and other things to protect my body. Number two, I bring a reinforced slip lead, which is a dog catcher's tool. It's basically a piece of PVC pipe over a very long slip lead, and it allows me to keep the dog away from me after I've got the slip lead over its neck. I only use that if it's necessary because the dog is probably freaked out because it's been through a situation, and I want to not put psychological stress on the dog. Number three, have a second person there to ensure first aid if necessary. You never go in alone. Okay, you might get down on the ground and bitten by a dog, and you need someone to help protect you. Call the ambulance or just give you first aid if you've gotten a minor bite. Number four, use a bandana with a scent known to calm canines, vanilla, valerian root, ginger oil. Anyway, I use that, try and get it near the dog, on the dog if I can, to calm them. Number five, I give the canine plenty of time to see that I'm not a threat. So I've had instances where I chose not to engage the dog the first night that I went in. I just made sure it was taken care of, had its food, got outside, got its water, and I let it get used to me a little bit. The more they get around you, the more that they'll trust you. Number six, remember, you can always choose to not engage, and then you can come back later. The other thing to remember about dogs and keeping yourself safe is your body language. Okay, dogs smell and see what you are feeling. Okay, so if you are presenting fear, you will be putting off pheromones that they smell. Move slowly and smoothly. Just like they get upset if you are herky-jerky with your movements, if you stop, if you stare them in the eye and then stare them in the hindquarters and then stare them in the eye. Don't do that to a dog. Make sure you're not doing that. Be non-threatening. So keep your side and eyes off the dog and be quiet and keep your hands and feet in your own personal space, which is about 3 feet. And remember, when you're taking care of pets, just in general, take away all the risks. If you're house sitting, don't go to sleep with your head very low to the ground. Make sure the dog is contained at night so that it cannot get to you and accidentally hurt you when you wake up. And when you put food down, make sure that you're not putting your head down next to the dog's head while you're putting the food on the ground. Have the dog, if it knows obedience training and it will stay over there in a sit-stay across the kitchen from you while you set the food on the ground, then do that. If it won't, then put it in a kennel or put it outside or put it in another room. Set the food on the ground, then let them get to the food. That's the end of my presentation.
Well, thank you very much, David. I think you've made some really good points that perhaps we could print out and in a document. I'd like to ask Kyra, what would you add to that?
Gosh, that was really thorough. I would echo a lot of it. I wrote up a whole thing. Yeah, largely what I do when I meet a dog is I try to take all the pressure off the meeting. You know, go in, you don't look at them, you talk to the people, and you see if they come investigate you when they are given the freedom to decide whether or not they want to. And if they hang back and seem freaked out the whole time and never come up to sniff, it's probably not a good fit for most sitters. Let me look at the questions. Yeah, generally just look for signs of stress and they call it arousal, even though it's a double entendre. But you know, if the ears are back, you know, they're panting, or if you know, you get the whale eye where they're kind of looking at you out of the side of their eye because they don't want to make direct eye contact because they're scared. And if you know, if they don't take treats, they're probably pretty freaked out. And in general, what I try to do is I try to manage the situations I put the dog in. Like if I know the dog doesn't like the neighbor dog, I don't try to bring it out while the neighbor dog's out. If I know that the dog does not like, you know, there was one dog I went to where he would freak out if I picked up the leash too soon. So I'd just have to come in and hang out for a little bit until he relaxed. I'd pick up the leash, and then he'd be fine. And generally, being that I am not licensed yet, and I'm sure most sitters are not licensed dog trainers, is if I run into a situation where, you know, a dog does not want to engage with me, that would be where I would say for most sitters probably just don't pick up that client and recommend that they go through a trainer. That dog needs more help than a walk can give it. And really, like, most of the things I had written down were pretty similar to what David was talking about. So it really just, you know, it helps to have a good sense of dog body language and just really just pay attention to what they're displaying. You know, if you know, the goal is to reduce how stressed they are by you being there, because you're a stranger in their house. They don't know you. You have to communicate to them that, you know, I'm not going to touch you unless you want me to. I'm not going to hurt you. And if we get to a point where, you know, I can pretty much trust a dog not to get scared of me, but I'm still asking them to do something that they might find a little intimidating, like, you know, putting on their harness, I'll, you know, offer treats throughout the process. So, oh, I had to do something kind of unpleasant, but I got food out of it, so it's okay. But these are all a lot less extreme cases than some of the ones that, you know, would be an instant, you know, don't take this client.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. Tyra, thank you very much. I appreciate what you had to say. We've heard from the dog trainers. Now let's turn to somebody with perhaps a different point of view and some points that could help us out here. Let's turn to a licensed groomer. Sarah, how have you handled past cases of problem dogs, aggressive dogs?
Well, being a groomer, I have the option to, we use the little, basically like small slip leads, groomer leads. Well, you know, sometimes I have to put 2 on a dog, or sometimes I have to use a muzzle, or sometimes I have to use a cone. Not every dog wants to be groomed, and I'm in their personal space. So they can get really angry, especially touching the feet.
Yep.
But when it comes, if there's just a dog that just absolutely, I can tell that they're angry, they don't want this to happen, they don't want this done, no amount of money is worth losing my ability to do my job. And that's the same with pet sitting. No amount of money is worth you getting hurt, ever. So you can actually send a dog to the vet to be put asleep, to be sedated, or put to sleep to be groomed. So I do have that option. Usually right away you can notice that a dog is going to be aggressive. There's body language, like David mentioned. Usually the tucked tail, you know, you're about to be bit. Sometimes if they'll, you know, when they curl their lip, as was said earlier, they'll kind of put their lip up. They'll lick their lips sometimes if you're getting too close. Dogs have what groomers call a bite zone. That's going to be any area from the chest that their head can basically reach you. And anytime you have an aggressive dog, absolutely stay out of that bite area. It's usually pretty obvious at first that they don't want it done, but I have had dogs that they'll be your friend until you get them on the table. You get them on the table, they're mad, they don't want to do it. And that's when I have to say, no, I can't do this. And that's really what it's all about, knowing when to say no and know that you and your well-being are more important than any amount of money or any job.
Thank you, Sarah. I think
No problem.
really
Okay,
good.
I have a couple of things to add.
Go ahead, David.
I left out piloerection as well. That's where they get like a mohawk, and it could be anywhere between their neck and the end of their tail. It just, the hair stands up, and it might be a wide pattern across the back that makes their back appear on a light-skinned dog. It might appear darker. That is a definite warning sign. And then also, I just wanted to reinforce during your client interviews, if the dog is so fearful that it will not come near your personal space, I don't want you to take on that client unless they have a dog door and you can take care of that dog basically remotely from the backyard, basically putting their food and water out, making sure that they can get out to potty through the dog door without you having to interact with them, and you can take care of them without coming near them. So those are the 2 points I wanted to add.
Okay, now let's turn to a dog whisperer. Chrissy, tell me what you do and tell me how you would handle a dog that you know is a problem. How do you prepare for it, and what steps you might take to manage the situation?
Well, like David had already kind of said, it's like how you dress. So you always want to wear like pants instead of shorts. It's really just the simple things where like gloves. What I've done when I get a new client, I will always have them bring the dog outside. So I'm not just immediately going into their house. And I will, if it's a small dog, I will sit on the ground and get on their lap, just plant myself there and just let, if they want to come to me, if not, if it's a large dog, usually the ones I've had, they're like jumpers. They want to jump on me. And that is, I wouldn't say that's not aggressive. That's just like the energy.
It's play. They want to play.
Yeah. But still you can get, I've had plenty of bruises from all that stuff. It's crazy. Also, if once we go into the house, like Kara said, like I will let them do their thing. I'm talking to the owner and I just give them time to accept me being in the house. Also, I feel like if you go into their house and you're already scared of them, they're going to feel that. And it's just not a good combination.
Yep.
Because they can tell that you're scared and it just like will start dominoing. That's what I've seen. An example was, there was a sitter, she was just scared and I had to go over and even when I went in with her, she was scared. I wasn't scared and they kind of came right up to me and not her. So there's just little things like that. Treats go a long way. So, and so does food. food. They love food. So I guess that's all I have. Y'all are the experts.
I want to add one more thing, just
Yes, David.
a couple of things that might be useful to you so that you know if you are putting off the smell that's going to cause a dog to possibly attack you. If you get a cold sweat, okay, get away from the dog. If you feel that you have nervous bumps coming up, you can feel that. I can't think of the word right now, but you know, if you have bumps coming up on a large part of your arm or leg, you are definitely putting off pheromones, and you need to get away from the dog and out of the house. And then if you're not calm and confident, then
Right.
you may cause a problem because of that.
A lot of people don't know that dogs can smell how you're feeling. They can smell it through your breath. They can smell it through your sweat. They can just, like you said,
Right.
David.
Yeah, they smell 200 times better than we do.
Right.
Well, we've made some excellent points here today, and it's time to wrap up and perhaps emit some conclusions. Olga, would you like to do that, or would you like me to do it?
Sure. I'm
Okay.
So yes, as a conclusion, again, I'm saying the same messages I have said in the beginning. Do not take aggressive pets or any pets that may not show aggressive, but signs of fear, signs of uneasiness, signs of unfriendliness. As you can see, the licensed dog trainers, they have protective equipment, they have training to handle those dogs. And those are the people that we're going to be referring our clients to. We're not going to just walk away from the client and say, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to send them to a dog trainer. Sometimes there's a boarding with training including, and sometimes there's a vet, because we're always going to see what's best for the dog. And we as pet sitters, sometimes our hearts get so big, and we embrace everybody with this big, warm, fuzzy feeling like, I will love this dog and this dog will love me. And it's a risk. It's a risk you're taking. And like Sarah said, no money is worth getting hurt, getting bit, going to hospital, or even just getting scratched up or just being scared. It's not the job you're being hired for. 99.99% of our clients will call us. They will have friendly pets. They will have pets that want us there. So these are the clients we want. And if we can't accommodate a client, we're actually doing more harm than good for the pets. So just be mindful of that, and keep that in mind. And it's such a wonderful job. Pet sitting is a rewarding job where you spend time with pets. You're getting licks and playtime and belly scratches. There's no agenda. There's nothing but positive energy. And this is why I built this company, to create more positive experiences for pet sitters so that they can make money, get outside, get some exercise, and get some animal love. Because this is why we do this. This is not the job that pays your mortgage. This is a job that adds extra light into your life. So keep it up, keep it that way. And this is what this company is for, really. It's not for you to stick around for something that puts you in danger or is not fun. It should be a fun job. And I love that we have like about 200 of you guys now pet sitting out there in Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and enjoying every single day. So that's what we're here for.
Okay,
Oh,
to
God.
add a little bit to that, I know you said more than once, Olga, that DFW Pet Sitting employees don't accept dogs that are aggressive or too fearful or too sick or too old or even too young. And you've also said, communicate with the office. If you sense a problem or you're put in a situation that you're not happy with, communicate to the office and let the office find the best solution for your problem. Don't try to solve it yourself. Is there any other comments before we leave?
Yes, absolutely. And just know that if you need to get an expert's opinion, mine comes free to Olga. You don't have to worry about it. You can pick up the phone, call the management. They can get you in touch with me. It's rare that it will take more than 15 minutes for me to get back to you and speak with you. And it's a free service I offer to DFW Pet Sitting to help keep you safe.
Wonderful. Thank
Well,
you
I
so
would-
much.
I would like to thank Olga Wharton, David Miller, Kira Stamad, Sarah Owens, Chrissy Rippey, and I am Fred Milliken, your moderator. And this has been a very informative time. And we will talk to you again sometime in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.